The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Let's start this conversation. We got no relation.
Hey everybody, good night. Good night. Hello, good evening. There we go. That's a lot better. I want to thank you for coming in to watch my show today with me, Sean Kelly. See, a little miss got my mind all screwed up. I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to happen. Maybe it was supposed to. Who knows? But again, welcome to the Sunday night edition of Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 0.7 New Orleans. And yes, it looks like my internet is going off the rocker tonight. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But whatever happens is going to happen tonight. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a beautiful day today. I worked. Hey, Joni, good to see you. I worked today. And, you know, Holly, oh my gosh, hi, Holly, good to see you. Good to see you, Holly. But you know, I'll tell you what, everybody. So I went to work today and I saw dads with their little children. Hey, Christopher, thank you for coming in, and Gabriel. But I saw moms and I saw dads come in with their little children. And their little children were so excited. And you want to know why they were excited being with their dads? And I'll tell you what, I got to give a lot of credit to the dads because a lot of them had 3 or 4 kids with them. And they were small kids. You know, they're, young. And they were all picking out dinner for mom. Thank you for subscribing, Christopher. And they were all picnics for their mom today. And you're so, well, why would the children be picking out gifts for their moms? Well, got to tell you, it's Mother's Day today. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And some of the dads too, you know. Because there are dads where the moms aren't around that much. And so the dad, hey, Kara, good to see you, hon. And hey, Mr. Wojo, Cindy, wow, they're all coming in. This is great. I love it. And I would like to talk about moms. Yes, moms are special. Hey, Kevin, moms are very special people. You're welcome, Holly. And it's like growing up. Now, I grew up in a different era than a lot of y'all did. Okay. And my mom and a lot of the other moms were like the ones that, you know, if you screwed up, you didn't go see your dad, you saw your mom. And there were times that you wish you would have seen your dad first before you see your mom. But you know what? In growing up, thinking that your mom was mean and nasty and you couldn't do this, nor could you do that. And if you got in trouble, you got whipped, And so you kind of tried to avoid your mom as much as when you're young. This is when I'm young. And then she would take you to church every Sunday. And then she'd pull out, a Kleenex out of her purse because there's dirt on your face or something like that. And so she would pull the Kleenex out and lick it and face with it. It was the weirdest, grossest things in the world. But some. And moms would be there if you showed up in school. Does it feel being old? Your mom was there to fix your boo-boos or, but you didn't seem to realize that she was there taking care of you. You never realized she was there. And as you get older, you start to realize how much your mom meant to you. And there are times that I can literally kick myself in the arse. That's ass, or arse speaking. Thinking of all the dumb shit I used to do when I was young. Embarrassing. Getting her mad. But there's one thing I never did. One thing I never did is I ever raised a fist to my mom, nor did I yell back at her either. Because it wouldn't me dealing with her, it means I would have to deal with my dad, and I didn't want that. And my dad taught me at a very, very young age, you never hit a woman, no matter how bad it is. No matter how mad she got you, you just didn't. You just don't hit a woman. I made the mistake one time when I was 15 and 16 years old, and I raised a fist to my mom. Didn't hit her. But my dad saw it. And see, back then they can kick the crap out of you and not get in trouble for it. Kara says I did both of those, talked back all the time and slapped her once. I'm surprised, Kara, that you're here, to be honest with you. If I would have connected with my mom, I would not be here talking to you today. And that's true. But as I grew older, I got married and I had a son. And my mom had a grandson. And my gosh, I saw a whole new different person. I actually saw what my mom actually did with us. And it hurt. It hurt me. Because I did all that bullshit to my mom. And didn't even blink an eye. But my mom was there to babysit my son. My mom was there to help me change the diaper. And don't get me wrong, okay? Hey, Donna, good to see you. And don't get me wrong. You know, my son did not get away with murder with her. If he screwed up, and then he screwed up in front of, he calls her mom. It's an Irish thing, mom. And she let him have it. Or be stern with her, because at the time when he grew up, when he was born and stuff like that, that's when everybody had to be careful about talking back to your kid, or smacking them with a belt or something like that, because you can go to jail, you know. But I saw my mom with my son. And I didn't realize at the beginning, when she first started to be around him. And then one day, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It just hit me like, oh my gosh. My mom was a loving person. No matter how hard I gave my mom gray hairs, and how many times I got on her last nerve, she was there. Through the good, through the bad, through everything. But I did not want to see it. Now today, my son, he's a grown man now. And with her having that relationship with him all those years, he calls her 3 days a week. Calls her 3 days a week. And their relationship is really, really strong. And at one time, in fact, I was jealous of my son because I wanted to have that relationship with my mom like that, but it never happened. Then I come to realize that, I was just blinded. It was all about me. And now I'm 63. My mom's 87, 86. Don't tell her I said that. And now it's my turn to take care of my mom. And I'm okay with it, because all those years she took care of me. But I didn't want to realize it, that she was. I always had food in my stomach. I always had a roof over my head. Even though I got on her nerves, she still loved me. And so even to this day, she still does. So when I saw the little kids walking around with their fathers, holding flowers, holding a balloon, picking out the dinner for their mom today, it just put a big smile on my face. It did. It just made me feel really good. Made me feel really good. And I don't know. It just, and I got my mom, guess what I got my mom for Mother's Day today? Jams. Strawberry jam and blueberry jam. And she loved it. She loved it. Plus her scratch offs. But to see her smile, it's my turn to take care of my mom. And I really wish a lot of people would see that today. They don't. There's a lot of young kids out there, and I'm talking in their 15s and 20s. And they don't. They ignore their moms. and they ignore their dads or they treat them. You know what really gets on my freaking nerves? I'll tell you what gets on my freaking nerves about today's young adults is that they call their mom and dad by their first names. And when I hear that, that pisses me off. They're not Patricia. They're not Jack. They're not Mary Margaret. They're not this. They're not that. They're your mom, and it's your dad. But to call your own mom by her first name, that's freaking ridiculous. Seriously. And it pisses me off. You got to show respect for your mom. Because do you know how bad it eats her inside? A lot. It really does. I was always taught respect your mom and dad and respect your elder. And even today, at 63 years old, next month I'll be 64. And I still respect my elders. Kara says, I took care of my mom and was by her side, holding her hand when she took her last breath. My condolences to you, Kara. Kevin says, agree, Sean. Mom and dad, not Leona and Victor. Yes. I'm sorry, Kara. We're going to get into some ghosty stuff pretty soon. But I had to bring up Mother's Day. I had to bring up mothers. Because mothers are special. They really are. But you have to show the respect to them. You have to show respect. Kara, I lost my dad when he was 52 years old and I was 24, so I know what you're going through. I know what you're going through. So when my father passed away when I was 24, it was my mom who took care of me and my brother. I just wish people out there would respect their moms and their dads. Because moms are beautiful people. And they will always, always love you. So to all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day to you. And if you don't say it, I will say it for you. He did a hell of a job raising your kids. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. He did a great job. So I hope you got to go out to eat dinner today. I hope that whatever you did today, I hope it was a decent day. For some, it was probably hard. Joni said, I lost my mom in 2019. Some other day is a sad day for me. I'm sorry about that, Joni. My condolences to you. But you always have her in your heart. Same way with you, Kara. She's always in your heart. She never left. She's still there with y'all. She is. But she's happy now. She's no pain. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful because she could be watching you if you're doing something bad. I could just hear my grandmother now just yelling at me. But I just want to say happy Mother's Day to everybody. Okay. And I'm just happy. I'm happy that I have that relationship with my mom today. I wouldn't want it any other way. So we're at the bottom of the hour. I'm going to take a couple-minute break. And then we're going to get into some ghosty, weird Pennsylvania bullshit. It's creepy. So Kevin says, I got to call my mom and talk to her on the phone, which we had not done in a while. Isn't it beautiful? Feels good. Feels good. My mom can't talk on the phone, so when I call my mom, it lasts about 5 minutes and that's it. But you know what? That's the best 5 minutes I had in the daytime, in that day. Spending 5 minutes with her on the phone if I don't see her. So, going to take a break and then we're going to come back and talk about some weird stuff in Pennsylvania.
Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. This is Sunday night, and it is a 2-hour show, so everybody, please stick around after 9 o'clock because the Monday night show is a 2-hour show. Heidi, hi. Happy Mother's Day to you, Heidi. So to recap the first half hour, I just, in short, mothers are beautiful. Please take care of your moms. Don't give them any grief. But now comes the spooky time. But before I get into the spooky time, I want to thank. Oh, you're welcome, Heidi. Hey, Michelle. Just want to thank you, PRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans, for allowing me to give you 2 shows a week, Sunday night from 8:10 to 10:10 p.m. and from 8:10 to 9:10 p.m. And I want to say that my Tuesday night show is going to be pretty decent. My friend Amy, she's coming on, and Amy Cottrell, and she's a belly dancer. And I heard that, and I've read that belly dancing is a good way of meditation. So if you're not doing anything on Tuesday night, come on over and check out the show. Remember, it's 8:10 p.m. Eastern to 9:10 p.m. Eastern. What else was I going to say? Oh, creepy stuff in Pennsylvania. So there are a lot of things that are really creepy here in Pittsburgh. In Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh. And they're just, and I've been to a lot of these places that I'm going to be talking about tonight. Okay. And being in the business since 2006 to 2022, I've been to some really creepy places here in Pennsylvania. And the coolest thing about it is I didn't have to pay to go to these places, you know. But the first one I want to talk about is called the Green Man's Tunnel. Okay. I got my trusty AI, and please excuse reading from it, but if I didn't read from my phone, okay, then the show would have been over with like now. that's who I that's how I do things here. But I could tell you my version, which is about 30 seconds, and but I want you to get I want you to get the feel of. Michelle says her friends and her did a dance class. It was fun. The first is called the Green Man's Tunnel, and it's called South Park, Pennsylvania. Okay, and what's crazy about the tunnel is that there's two tunnels. Okay, and they're side by side, and the one is open, and the other one's filled with stone. The original Green Man talking about is the one that's filled with stone. Now, there were rooms that filled the stone because of the dam. They didn't want people going in there and seeing if they could find it. So they filled it up with stone. And then the one next to it, everyone thinks it is the tunnel, but it is not the tunnel at all. But we investigated around there, these two tunnels. And it is very, 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 very haunted, So you have to realize Pittsburgh, a long time ago, they had the French and Indian War there. Okay? There was a lot of wars around in Pittsburgh, in the outskirts of Pittsburgh. So wherever you went, really, there's a lot of soldiers, a lot of Native Americans that got killed, especially in the area. So whenever you go to areas like that, especially around the Green Man Tunnel, you think it's the Green Man that's out there. We got hits on the K2s. There's no high tension wires, nothing like that. We got a lot of shadow figures there. Hey, Gene, good to see you, hon. Thank you for popping in. Happy Mother's Day, Gene. And, but the story behind the Green Man, it is true. Okay? And I'm going to read you a little bit of the story. The Green Man's Tunnel story is a haunting Pennsylvania urban legend based on the true tragic story of Raymond Robinson, 1910 to 1985. A man severely disfigured by a childhood electrical accident, known as, and this is what he was called, Charlie No Face. He took nightly walks which fueled local myths of glowing, faceless, ghost-haunting abandoned tunnels near Pittsburgh. Actually, it's in South Park. But what's crazy about where these tunnels are at, there's a road that goes underneath like a trestle. And it's like an S shape. And what's crazy is they call that, I do believe it's called Dead Man's Turn, Dead Man's Curve. Because there's a lot of freaking accidents that happen right at that bridge, that trestle where the two tunnels are. That's a proven fact. Cindy Mitch, hello. Happy Mother's Day, Cindy. Happy Mother's Day, Michelle. Sorry if I forgot you. So in 1919, at the age of 8, Raymond Robinson climbed the trolley bridge and was severely injured by high voltage lines, losing his eyes, nose, and right arm. He survived but remained reclusive to avoid public scrutiny, walking at night along roads near his home in Beaver County. The legend, because of his appearance, tale spread about a spectral green man who appears in the Piney Fork Tunnel in South Park Township. The green glow was likely a distortion of moonlight or headlights on his skin, transforming a disabled man in a monster in local lore. And, growing up, I heard a lot about the Green Man. I really did. From people who were older, from teenagers that would go out there, and not a lot of people, but some people actually saw him, especially walking at night. It's true, he walked at night. But from what the people were saying was that he was a good man. He was just totally, brutally, embarrassed because of what happened to him. Despite the creepy legend, those who met Robinson described him as a kind and quiet, and he was. Very. And I've heard it from a lot of people. Kevin says, for your relationship with your mom, for her spirit peace, how things have softened, Care. Oh, okay, it's for Care. The Green Man's Tunnel is generally identified as Old Piney Fork Tunnel, situated along Park Road in South Park Township. And that road is dangerous because kids used to drag race. I don't know if they did that down there anywhere else, but they would find a place and they would drag race. And they would that was part of the track that they used to drag race. And that's why there was a lot of accidents on there. But yes, this is a true story about the Green Man. If I saw the Green Man, I'll be honest with you, I'd be like scared shitless, to be honest with you. But from what I know now to back then, I think I'd be okay with talking to him today. Is anybody out there in the chat room or anybody out there listening to the show tonight where anything like that where you live? If you'd like to share it, feel free to, and I can read it on the show tonight. Let's see. Heidi says of Cruz's Buffet, a street in Olive, Kansas back in the day. And Kevin says tunnels can hold many secrets. The Green Man, never heard of him. But speaking of tunnels, I got another tunnel story for you. There's a bike trail. It's called the Montour Bike Trail. Okay, and it starts off at Montour, PA, and it goes all the way through Washington, PA. And what you do, if you're ever, in Pittsburgh area, you go 79 south, and you get off at the Hendersonville exit. And so when you get off the Hendersonville exit, you want to make a left. And then you'll see an ice cream shop where there's a bike shop. And that's where part of the Montour Trail hangs out, starts. There's no start there, but it's like where you can pull and get your bikes out and ride them. But the Montour Bike Trail used to be an old railroad. And a long time ago, as you walk it, okay, it's very haunted, extremely haunted. I mean, there's a lot of spirits because you got to remember, though, it was a railroad at the time. And in Pennsylvania, around this area, railroads were huge. huge. And we'd walk and we'd get all kinds of evidence. Excuse me. We'd get a lot of orbs, a lot of shadow figures. We used to get a lot of hits off the K2 meters, walking the whole road. But what was scary, though, okay, was there were bobcats that hung out on this road. So people would bring their poo-poos with them just in case. Michelle says there are several tunnel stories in Portland, Oregon, the underground tunnels. And Kara says, we used to drag race at the stoplights in town. It was so fun. Into it, we saw the flashing lights coming. That brings back memories, huh? Doing the drag racing. Oh, yeah. You raced for pink slips is what you did. But as you walk on this path, when you walk on the path, maybe 2-3 miles down the path, you come to a bridge. Now, on the first time that I saw the bridge, you couldn't get there because the bridge to the tunnel was torn. It was torn. It was a wooden bridge, and you just couldn't cross. So in a couple of years, we went back down, and they actually built a solid bridge going over to get into the tunnel. But what was so spooky and what made it so haunted about this tunnel was back in, I want to say, the early 1900s, there was a train wreck that happened right before that tunnel. And it is brutally haunted. And when you walk through the tunnel, okay, you can actually hear people screaming or crying. I mean, we got a lot of EVPs in that tunnel. And what was cool about it was at first it was like brutally dark, no lights at all inside the bridge. But the second time we went, they put lights because it is a bike trail and people do bike at night. So, but when we went there, the lights weren't in there. And you could hear people cry, you could hear people scream. You could take pictures and see shadows on your pictures. You get good EVPs. You could get good video. It was just a lot of spiritual, a lot of haunting activity there. Kevin says, I can smell the ground, Sean. What about dark? Yes, a lot of negative vibes, tormented spirits feels like. Yes, very tormented, Kevin. There still are down there. I haven't been down there too long, for a very long time. But from talking to my other paranormal friends who have groups that go down there, it's about the same. It's about the same. Same feeling, same activity, same everything. But going down toward the bridge, though, okay, to the tunnel, the further you went down close to the tunnel, the colder it got. I remember one time we went down that way and it was like 90 degrees, hotter than hell. But maybe a half a mile before we got to the bridge, it turned into icicles. It was cold. It went from 90 down to 40, just like that. And when we hit that wall at 40 degrees, okay, when we hit that wall, you could actually see your breath. So we knew we went in, we walked right into a very haunted area. Hey, Squats Man, good to see you. Kara says, definitely a creepy spot at night. Okay, about the cemetery. Okay. Oh, Kara got a little thing here. Kara says, We have a cemetery north of town that is said if you drive around it 3 times, a hearse will chase you and shoot at you. Oh wow. I don't I don't know about that's crazy, man. Did you ever try it, Kara? Did you drive around it 3 times and did a hearse follow you? But there have been many, many accidents, you know, um, down that area. Now there's another, it's called the Allegheny Bike Trail, which is over near the Youghiogheny River. Okay. And when you walk down the Allegheny Bike Trail, the things, the story behind it was that you would be walking down the bike trail and you will see men up in the distance carrying lanterns walking towards you. And a lot of the people say that when they would get up to the guys holding the lanterns, they would disappear along with the lanterns. In that area, and mainly all around Pittsburgh, there's a lot of coal mines, tons of coal mines. And there was a lot of miners, especially down in that area. But we'd walk it, and again, get your good shadows, your good EVPs and stuff like that. But it, for me, walking the bike trails, it wasn't so much, getting evidence, video or pictures or EVPs, whatever, audio. It wasn't about it. It was about getting your own personal reaction. How you feel, how I felt walking down there and just feeling the presence of spirits all around you. That's the best evidence in the world. And I mean, I went down there like 3 or 4 years in, and it got to the point where I did not want to share my evidence with anybody because I know for a fact I would get ridiculed. A lot of people, and I just didn't want to get ridiculed. So the evidence I did get on video, okay, the evidence I did get, I kept to myself. But whenever you get that personal deal, that is true, Michelle. When you get that personal experience, that's what makes the investigation. There's a cemetery out in Monroeville. It's called Rustland Cemetery. And there's a spirit that walks around there. Her name, what the hell, Rosie. What happened was some young punks came and they took Rosie's headstone. Okay. And they threw it over the hill. Well, all of a sudden, Rosie appeared. I saw Rosie, and she's looking for our headstone. But a bunch of us would actually see Rosie out in the cemetery. And we would run to her, and she would just disappear. It was like a game to her. We never got her on video. We never got her on a camera. But you could see her, and what she does to the other investigators. In fact, I remember there were a couple times where the people who worked there was a new person that worked at the cemetery, and she was there at night. And she saw Rosie walk right by the window. True story. Walked right by the window. She got so scared she called the police. And the police came. Yes. So But I had to bring Walking Rosie in on that one. But that's a couple of the strange places that I was at. Westland Cemetery with Walking Rosie, the 2 bike trails. But I keep talking about, a lot of people go to places that they read in the news or they see on YouTube. And it's like, oh, we got to go to this place because there are ghosts there. Well, let me give you a piece of advice, okay? When you go to these places where you have to pay an arm and a leg just to investigate, the ghosts there know why you're there. So why would you want to go to a place where other people have been? You could go right out your back door and find, and if you knew what you're doing, if you had the right equipment, you could probably pick up a ghost. But if you're empathic, if you're a seer, okay, where you don't need equipment, where you can pick up the actual vibration of the spirit, there you go. And you didn't have to pay a cent. The best places in the world for me to go investigate are cemeteries and graveyards. And what's really cool are the cemeteries or the graveyards that you see on the side of the road that are back out in the woods a little bit. And they're so old that the tombstones, you can't even read their name. They're all totally black. Michelle says PDX Paranormal and I have an upcoming cemetery investigation. I'm learning the ropes and enjoying the process. Oh, God bless you, Michelle. You're going to have a fun time. But I will tell you this, hon. Okay, whenever you decide to take pictures at the cemetery, you cannot take a picture of the name that is on the headstone. That's against the law. You can't do that. Because for some reason, if that picture got out and the people who are related to that person that are in the ground, okay, they might sue you. So what I do and what I tell everybody to do is when you're in a cemetery or a graveyard, you take the picture from behind the tombstones to where you're protected. You're welcome, Michelle. You're welcome. And what I like to do too, though, is when you're walking up the road and you're in between the 2 rows, okay, the rows, I like to just stand there and just shoot all the way down the road. You pick up a lot of good stuff up there. And always remember, Michelle, here's the deal, okay? Cemeteries are hallowed grounds. So nothing bad can touch you. No evil can come in on the cemetery because it's hallowed ground. Okay. And always, I have to tell you, Michelle, when you go to the cemetery, make sure this paranormal team that you go to, that you get permission to go into the cemetery. If you don't get permission, they will call the police on you and you will get arrested for trespassing. That's what it's like here in Pittsburgh. So whenever I would do a cemetery with my group, I would always get permission. And after you get the permission, either the cemetery people would call the police department and tell them that we will be there, or I will call the police department and tell them that we're going to be there on this certain day for this certain amount of hours. Okay. But it is at the top of the hour. It's at the top of the hour, so we're going to go to a break. And when I come back, we're going to find a couple other places about Pennsylvania and the spooky, weird stuff that happens. So see you back in a couple minutes.
Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of Native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. I want to thank, again, UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans, for allowing you to give me 2 hours on Sunday night, 8:10 to 10:10 p.m., and on Tuesday night from 8:10 to 9:10 p.m. This Tuesday, my friend Amy Cottrell, she's going to be my guest, and she is a belly dancer. And from what I read, that's some sort of a meditation. So we're going to learn a little bit more about belly dancing. Heidi says, I love walking through the cemetery on our path to go fishing. I'll always stop and read the names, and what I know now is to feel their energy. Yes. And then back a little bit. Let me see. See, they got this little thing here. Let me see. Yeah, Michelle said, yes, we are too old to jump fences at cemeteries. Meet other teams are also investigating. That's true. Too damn old. But, in Pittsburgh, they have, who owns a lot of the cemeteries, it's called the Catholic Cemeteries of Pittsburgh, and you know that you're at one of their cemeteries because there are no gates. So if you go to a cemetery where there is no gates, you can go in and investigate. But I highly recommend again that you call the police and tell them that you're going to be there at a certain amount of time. There's another urban legend And I read about I read about it and I heard about it, but I never been there before. And it's close to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, but I've never been there before. It's called the Seven Gates of Hell. Has anybody ever heard that one before? It's called the Seven Gates of Hell. It's a popular urban legend centered in a wooded area of Hallam Township, York County, Pennsylvania, near Trout Run Road, formerly known as, get this, Toad Road. Legend holds that a series of 7 gates exist in the woods. Passing through all 7 gates leads you to hell, with only one gate supposedly visible during the day. Michelle says, I have not. Sounds interesting. And Kara said, yes, I just saw on TV the other day, I think. But I know when I go up to Gettysburg this year, I think I'm going to try to go to the 7 gates of hell. From what I understand, I think you can see the one gate during the daytime, but at night you can see the other 6. But we're going to get into the details of the legend. Heidi says, install Kansas in a church within a cemetery is going to be one of the 7 gates of hell. Yeah, we talked about that, Heidi. Maybe if I ever make it out to Stall, Kansas, I'll go there. Because sometimes I'm going to see what hell really looks like. Nah, I'm just joking with y'all. No, here's my theory. I believe we're living in hell now, and when I die, I'm going to a better place. That's the way I look at life right now. The key details of the legend: the asylum story, a popular through unverified story claims an insane asylum in the area burned down in the 1800s, and the gates were erected to trap patients who escaped. The doctor story, another version, claims that an eccentric doctor built the gates in the woods to protect his property. The site is private property, and residents' asylum legend is false. The gates were erected to deter trespassers. Now, see, okay, so you look at this, right? They say that the site is private property, and that's understandable. Okay. Now, if you lived there, if you lived around the 7 Gate area, I'm sure you would come and tell the world that no, it's false. But in reality, it could be true, you know. And the location is in Hallam Township, close to York, Pennsylvania. And York is close to Gettysburg. So let me ask anybody out here in the chat room, or anybody out there in the 160 different countries that are listening tonight, how many would you, if you knew this, if you knew the rules, that you knew you couldn't go into this place, how many would go? How many would go? Would you go? Would you try walking the path? Would you pass through the first gate and try to get to the other 6 gates? You know, if it wasn't woods, there's a lot of woods, trees everywhere. Michelle says the younger her would go. I think I'd do it if I was younger. I'm lucky I can walk a half a mile without dying. I'm just joking with you. But there's a lot of places like that that I wish that I could have gone to, that I even heard about going to, you know. But I would try. I would want to see how far I'd go. And of course, this being a paranormal show, there could be Bigfoot in there. Could be a cryptid in there. Kara says, yeah, the walking might stop me. Of course. Have you noticed, though, in a lot of places where they say that, like, they're really, really haunted are asylums? Seriously? There's a lot of places that are, that they claim that they're haunted and are abandoned asylums. But how do we know an asylum is back in there? How do we know this doctor did it to set up his private property? Why did they come up with this story anyway? Because you go through 7 gates and you're in hell? Because it's haunted? Kevin said I would read the path and get a sense of how far to go to safety. Hmm. Yeah, I'd go with a bunch of other people, you know. But I would try it. I would try it. I might have to ride by it when I go up to Gettysburg this year, because I'm going to go. And you know that I talk a lot about Gettysburg on my show here. And it's a very, very haunted place. And there are 2 bridges up there, and I'm going to talk about them again. One is the Sachs Covered Bridge, which is brutally haunted. And the story behind that bridge is that after the Battle of Gettysburg, the South, the Confederate Army, actually went back into Virginia crossing that bridge. And all the deserters from the Confederate Army were hung there. And I am here to tell you that there is one Confederate soldier on that bridge. I do believe he's from, Tennessee. And it's funny, when I would go up there a lot, I'd go to the bridge, especially in the summertime. This ghost, he loved to show off in front of people. So if you go like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, you could have at least 50 people on that bridge or around that area. And you can't ghost hunt. You just can't do it. Not with all them people there. The best time to go is like after midnight when nobody's there. But I remember a friend of mine, he made me a quad K2 box. And it had 4 K2 meters in it. Okay. It was the coolest thing in the world. And I would set it on the ground on the bridge. And then I would start talking to this ghost. And all of a sudden he would start, making the K2s go up, like if he was on the right side, all the K2s on the right side would light up and the ones on the left never did. And all these people that walked the bridge would come over, and they would be fascinated with it, And a lot of the people would think that I'd be pressing a button to make the K2 meter go off. But I never did. So what I would do is I'd take my hands out of my pocket, okay? I'd take my hands out of my pocket, and he would still be lighting up the K2 meter. People were fascinated by it. And of course, you had some doubters there. You had some skeptics. And I said, okay, hold on. So I asked, and this is true, this is how I did it, I asked the ghost, I said, can you make it smell like tobacco? Can you light a cigarette for us? And 5-10 minutes later, people started to smell cigarette smoke. And nobody was smoking. And then people started to believe a little bit. But they had that personal experience. And they're going to always remember that personal experience on Zach's Bridge. And that spirit's still there, from what I understand. Like I said, I know a lot of people in the paranormal field that do go up to Gettysburg, and he's still there. But what I used to do for him was, after we were about to go, I would leave him one cigarette, one match, as a gift for him, so he could smoke that cigarette. And that's how you do it sometimes in the paranormal field. You do that sometimes. If they do, if they respond to you, then you have to give them respect. And how I respected this dude was by giving him a cigarette and a match. So it worked out both ways, There's a path that's beside the bridge that you walked on down to the creek. And that was a spooky path. It was, but there was a lot of places up there. Now, where Sachs is, it's away from the battlefield. But you have to remember, though, that whole area up there was during the Civil War. When you walk down this dark path, you really have to be careful, because there's no lights. And if you don't have a flashlight, you're up Schick's Creek without a paddle. But you feel people breathing down your neck. You actually feel people touching you. You actually hear people talking in the woods right next to you when you walk down this path. Even people who are new to, Kara says, did you leave the matchbox to light the match? No, I didn't, Kara. I just left the match. I did not. Because I don't know if some knucklehead, would light the bridge on fire. No, I just left the match and the cigarette. But no, I didn't leave the matchbox there. But people would come down with me and walk that dark path, and it takes you down to the creek. And a lot of activity down there. And a lot of people got scared. And what they got scared, it wasn't so much that they were scared of the dark, okay? They were scared because they started to hear people talking. They started to feel that people were touching them. And no, it wasn't the tree limbs smacking up against them. And it's not the spider webs that you walk into, because I would go first. And if anybody would hit with a spider web, it would be me. But I don't know, has anybody ever been on an investigation or actually walking in a place where you feel like you walked into a spider web and there was no spider web there? Anybody? So, to that part of the story, okay, we would make it down to the creek. And for a fact, where there's water, there's spirit. Kara says, oh yeah, and then Michelle said yes. But what excited me the most, and I didn't laugh at them, but inside it kind of made me feel good, knowing that these people were getting personal experiences down that path. And I just say to myself, welcome to my world. I would say that a lot. Welcome to my world. But that basically, I could tell you stories. We could do an hour, 2 hour story just on Sachs Bridge itself. But this is what I wanted to bring up about the weird things that happen in Pennsylvania. It is a crazy sensation. Now, is that a bunch of spirits that are there? Is that one spirit that disembodied himself that made it feel like that he was the spider web? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? To this day, and I've been in the business for a very long time, I could never figure out why or get a reason why that it feels like you're walking into a spider web and there are no spider webs at all. So I'm calling that right now. But the other bridge up there is called the Eisenhower Bridge. And it's a small bridge. And it's up from Sachs. But they do have another name for it. It's called the Suicide Bridge. And I never knew it was there until about 4 or 5 years ago when someone took me there. The minute you get out of your car, you could just feel the heaviness. And you're not even near the bridge yet. Pretty close, but not near it. And as you walk that bridge, you just get this sense of sorrow. Now, I don't know if anybody ever experienced that, to where they just walk into a room or walk into a place and just have total sadness all over, the feeling of sadness. In fact, more people are going to the Eisenhower Bridge, the Suicide Bridge, more than they are going down to Sachs. So one time, me and my group, we went up there one time, and we didn't get there until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And you could hear it. You can hear the splashing. Now, you think that somebody threw a freaking rock into the creek. Okay. But nobody threw rocks in the creek. But you heard loud splashes. And as you cross the bridge and you get to the other side, it's just maybe not even a quarter mile that takes you up to a farm, which is gated off. And you can just feel pure evil. Pure evil. Kara says, cemeteries give me sadness, but not in a bad way. I just feel sad for the spirits. I'm sure, a troll. I don't know. You know what, Kevin? I'm glad you said that. And that's crazy, because a friend of mine, she took a couple pictures, when we crossed over into the real evil side. And all you see are a pair of eyes, dude. No shit. A pair of eyes. And somebody wearing a hat. No lie, it was creepy as sin, man. It was. But you cross that bridge and you cross into evil, pure evil. And you just felt this evil presence around you. Now, I really don't. A lot of places that I go to, I don't really want to call them evil. I just think, to me, evil is a bunch of, pissed off spirits, to be honest with you. And, but this was pure freaking evilness. Michelle says, I can sense sadness in locations and in people experience sadness. Yeah, a bunch of bad juju there. And there was one big evil person that was watching us and almost coming up, and like some people were saying that this bad spirit was whispering in their ear, whispering negative stuff to them. Literally somebody got pushed on the road. And to be honest with you, when this shit happens like that, and I'm on the investigation, and I got my crew with me, and shit happens like that, we're gone, dude. No questions asked. That's one thing I never did. I never put nobody in my group in harm's way. Never did. Never will. But we had to leave. We had to leave because it was that bad. The keeper of all the heavy darkness under there. I don't think it was the shoulder, brother. I think this thing was big and it was huge. You could just feel it. I think this was overpowering, and I don't think the troll was that overpowering, not compared to this asshole that we were dealing with. But we crossed the bad side. We went right to the bridge, and it was sad. It's crazy. It's like two separate worlds, or two separate. What the hell am I want to say here? Different places, you know. Evil, then sad. Just like you walk right from the evil right into the sadness. And from what I understand, hey, Joe Fox, good to see you, man. Welcome, dude. It's good to see you. And from what I understand, there was a lot of people that took their lives on that bridge. No, I don't know nothing about the boogie troll energy. Maybe one day I can get you on the show, Kevin, and we can talk about this. You know, we can talk about these things. But yeah, so those two bridges up in that area, to me, are not all angry spirits are evil. That is true, Michelle. That's true. It's not. They're not all angry spirits. That most of the time spirits are angry is when you go into their house after they died and they're living in their house and you decided to paint over your polka dotted wallpaper, or you take out a wall. Then they're going to get pissed. But they're not evil. But this spirit was freaking evil, this thing. I mean, it was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So it is the bottom of the hour, and we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about one more place, and I'll do a little reading for everybody. Okay? So I'll see you in about a couple minutes. We'll play her again.
The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. I have come, all losing my control.
Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. Kevin, you said something pretty crazy there. And you know what? I can see that happening. Kevin says when you talk of places, it's like I am there. Sean, sense, feel, and see. I've been like that before about different places. What do they call it? There's a word for it where people can just be in one place and actually see what the hell's going on in another place. I forget. A remote viewing. Remote viewing. Oh, and Kevin, I got the firefly, the owl, and the bee. Thank you. I like the owl. The firefly. Okay. They're not out yet, but they're pretty cool. And you know, it's crazy that you say the firefly. Like I was talking with my friend Josh when he was a guest on my show. We were in Gettysburg at one time. We were there in April. Okay. And fireflies don't come. We call them lightning bugs here in Pittsburgh. The lightning bugs are out. We're not, it's April and lightning bugs aren't out. So, but we were in the peach orchard and there had to be 50 of them following us. So, it was crazy. It was a crazy sight because wherever we went in the peach orchard or in the wheat field, these fireflies would follow us. It was something. Let me ask you this, everybody out there. Is it possible that those lightning bugs were actually spirits? Something to ponder. Something to ponder. Oh, thank you, Heidi. And Kevin said, yes, it's like that, Sean, remote viewing. But what do you think, everybody? What's your theory on that? Do you think the the lightning bugs? Do you think the lightning bugs could have been spirits following us? And I have one more guess. I have one question to ask you guys. Heidi says very possible. And Kara says, my daughter and I was talking a few weeks ago about how lightning bugs aren't out as much as they used to be. That is true, Kara, especially in July. Not too many of them. But this was April and it was cold as hell. But I have another question. And my brother brought this up to me, and everybody knows my brother Patrick. And he comes up with these unusual questions. If a ghost sees himself in a mirror, does he think he's a ghost? Let me repeat that. If a ghost sees himself in a mirror, does he think that he's a ghost? That is true, Kevin. Interesting spirit lights showing the way. One more time, guys. I need to know about this answer, what y'all come up with. That'd be interesting. But if a ghost sees himself in the mirror, does that ghost think he's a spirit? Food for thought. But the last place I want to talk about before I go to the reading is Centralia. Does anybody know about Centralia? Heidi says, honestly, I think lightning bugs are similar to fairies or a type of fae. I can go with that, Heidi. I can go with that. Has anybody ever heard of Centralia here in Pennsylvania? Well, I'm going to read about it. It's a near ghost town in Columbia County. Heidi says, I think he'd probably realize he was. Okay. That's interesting. I'll tell brother that. I'll tell Patrick that. Joe Fox knows about Centralia. Centralia, Pennsylvania is a near ghost town in Columbia County, famous for a massive underground coal mine fire that has burned since 1962. And that was the year I was born. it forcing most residents to relocate through government buyouts and eminent domain. Once a thriving coal mining community, and there you go, everybody, another coal mining community, the fire caused toxic gases and dangerous sinkholes, leading to the demolition of most buildings and the abandonment of the town by the early 1990s. Though a handful of residents remained for years, today it's a desolate, eerie landscape with a few remaining structures, drawing visitors interested in this unique history and environmental impact. Illinois has a Centralia in Boulder County. Yeah, we talked about that, the Centralia. The history and the fire. Okay. It was established as a gold mining town. It reached a peak of population of nearly 3,000 in the late 1800s. The ignition of how the fire started in May of 1962, the year I was born, likely from a landfill cleanup effort, and ignited vast underground coal seams. The danger became apparent in the late 1970s with the discovery of toxic gases and sinkholes, including a 12-year-old falling into a 150-foot sinkhole. The government began buying out properties in 1984, and by 1992, eminent domain was used to condemn the remaining buildings, leading to most residents leaving. And in what remains today, there's only a handful of residents remain for years, with an agreement allowing them to stay until their deaths. Most buildings were demolished, but a church, a few houses, and cemeteries remain. There's a thing up there called the Graffiti Highway. The former Route 61, once famous for its graffiti, has been covered up due to repair issues. And the area is known for its desolate, foggy, and sometimes smoky atmosphere, attracting urban explorers and photographers. Now, did everybody know that the one movie, The Haunting of Silent Hill, the movie Silent Hill, it was based off of Centralia? Because Silent Hill was an abandoned town, and it had the fog, it had the ashes coming from the sky. Because I never ever couldn't realize how Centralia, Silent Hill, took its thing from Centralia until I read about it, and it's because of the ambiance, where gas is coming up from the ground. There's a lot of ash flying through the air, and the town was abandoned. But yes, Kara says, it's you look it up online. There's almost no buildings at all there or nearby surroundings. No, in fact, I believe, and I might be wrong, but they actually took the zip code away from Centralia. There's no zip code for that part. I don't know if it is true or not. I do not know. But I did I met my friend up there, and we went to Centralia. Was the ground hot? Yeah. Was the fire still going? Yeah, and it's still going to this day. But did I think it was haunted? No, it wasn't haunted. It's just the story behind the fire in the mind that actually makes with the town being abandoned and et cetera, et cetera. But no, did I think it was haunted? No. It's crazy, though, that they haven't figured out how to put the fire out yet. Okay, Joe Fox says, here when I lived a mine fire burned for many, many years before they finally contained it and extinguished it. Calm banks burned at night were actually a thing of beauty to witness all the killers at night. Thanks for sharing that, Joe. Here when I Joe says here when I lived a mine fire burned for many, many years before they finally contained it and extinguished it. Calm banks burned at night were actually a thing of beauty to witness all the killers at night. Yeah, there's no beauty in killers at night here in Centralia. I know that. Kara said Centralia's zip code was discontinued by the Postal Service in 2002. Thank you, Kara. Appreciate that. Yeah, so Centralia has no zip code. Oh, where you live. Oh, okay. Don't be sorry. It's okay, Joe. Kind of figured out what you meant. Yeah. But to me, Centralia isn't haunted. But it has a crazy story to it, you know. It's a true crazy story. I walked on Graffiti Road. Okay. They do have that blocked off, though. I mean, you can't drive your car on it. You have to walk it. But you have to be careful not to get busted walking on it because, they can find you or send you to jail. But there are a bunch of other places up there, cemeteries that were wickedly crazy, man. So you don't need to go and spend thousands of dollars to go on an 8-hour investigation, and you can go wherever in the hell you want to go, anywhere for free, and investigate. Absolutely. But those are just some of the stuff. I mean, there is so many stories of Pennsylvania, a lot of creepy things up here in this state, that you could probably write books and books and books and books about it. Now, there are a bunch of mountains. Joe Fox says, I've always wanted to metal detect Centralia. I mean, if you can get in there and metal detect, dude, do it, man, but don't get in trouble. I don't want to bail your ass out of jail, dude. That was a joke. If you do decide and you do get the permission, give me a call and I might just take a ride up there and we'll do it together. But yeah, let's do that. Very cool. But there's a lot of places. Chestnut Ridge. Is it Chestnut Hill or Chestnut Ridge? Chestnut Ridge. The mountains up here, full of cryptids, full of Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens. They got it all up here in Pennsylvania. And you can have stories forever and ever and ever on all kinds of paranormal activity. So I guess there's a lot more things for me to explore when I retire in a year and 2 months. Can't wait. But I hope everybody enjoyed these little snippets of Centralia and, the Green Man Tunnel and all kinds of some of the creepy places here. Here in Pennsylvania. There's a ton more, like I said. And maybe I'll do another show with different places on how crazy and wicked and, weird stuff happens in Pennsylvania. Except for our government. Joe Fox says, except for our government, Pennsylvania rocks. It does. Pennsylvania is a beautiful, beautiful place. Especially around like October. It's beautiful. And Joe Fox says, yes, it's a great place to live. It really is, except for our governor. But like I said, my show is not political, so I ain't going to go there with that. But listen, everybody, it's that time. And I told you guys I would give you a reading. Okay? So here comes the reading. And we'll see how far I can go with this reading. Kevin says, great reviews on these places. Love the stories. Thank you. Pennsylvania's beautiful. If you ever get the opportunity, take a ride through Pennsylvania. Especially around September, October. My God, it's gorgeous. It really is. All right, so I'm shuffling the cards and we'll see what comes up the reading for Sunday night. I hope this is a good reading. If this reading isn't for you, then that's okay. Come back Tuesday, I'll pull another card. But I figured I'd do the reading. And since we got about 15 minutes left, so we'll see where we go for this. So I don't know where this reading is going to take me, but we'll see what happens. Okay. So I shuffled the cards. All right. Thank you, Heidi. Great chit chat. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I just got done shuffling the cards. All right, and I'm cutting them. Watch, cut. 1, 2, and we'll do this little one right here. 3. Okay, is everybody ready? If I could recommend people to write these cards down, and you can look at the meanings behind the cards, like it happens all the time. When I look and pull a card, I'll turn it over, and I'll look at it, and I'll give my reading. And if Joe wants to, he can look up the true meaning of the spiritual meaning on it. So here we go. The first one, this is your past, is the skunk. Okay. I think that's the first time we pulled that card, the skunk. And to me, in your past, this is the past card. To me, if I look at that card with the skunk, first of all, it's not, it's like you want to blow the stink away. You just want to release all that stink that you have had going on for a very long time, and it's not like you want to, throw the stink at different people and stuff like that. Okay. I think um, thin piles means someone is jealous. Okay, before I get into my version, Joe Fox says the skunk as a spirit animal symbolizes self-respect, non-aggressive power, and energetic protection. It teaches us to command respect without aggression and to embrace our personal power in subtle yet transformational ways. Thank you, Joe. But I look at that skunk, man, and it's just like, what? Back to F off, dudes. Dudettes, back off, man, because I'm here, and you guys gave me a pissy life in my past. I don't want to deal with you guys anymore. So, back off, and I'm going to spray you with some stink. Okay. But you're not attacking the people. You just want to let go of all the negativity that people have put into you. Okay. That people put into you, and it just builds up. It's like all, think of it like this. It's all those emotions that you had. Okay. That different people, different situations, different things have done for to you that were not healthy. And it's like leaving one big fart. Excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen. You just let one big and just let it all out. Okay. So in the past, you're just releasing all that negative energy, but in the wrong way. The stunk. Okay. Now the hummingbird. That is like cool. This is the now card. And with the hummingbird, what I think, and it's a good dog. It's a good card. I mean, so you're in the present now. You just release that stink. It's all gone, man. You're a brand new person. And all of a sudden, the hummingbird pops into your life, and the hummingbird is like flying, zoom, 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 zoom. And it's just like, and it's eating all the sugar water and just zipping right by your head. And to me, with the hummingbird, you're happy because you let all that stink go. You're happy. You're moving around. Yeah, that too, Kara, the skunk. But no, with the hummingbird though, you released all that negative energy, and all of a sudden you got the hummingbird, and you're zooming around everywhere, zoom, 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 zoom. Okay, and then it's like you're so happy that all the negativity went out on you that you were just catching up to all the stuff that that you missed. And that's why you're just like flying around with your head knocked off, or whatever you want to call it. But Joe Fox says the hummingbird is a spirit animal, symbolizes joy, love, and resilience, encouraging you to embrace life's simple pleasures and pursue your dreams with positivity. It also represents adaptability and the ability to find beauty in small things, reminding you to stay lighthearted and open to change. Oh my goodness. Is this crazy, Kevin? Is this crazy? This is a crazy reading so far. Blow out the stink and enjoy the new things that are happening to you in your life. Now, the future card. Okay. We got the weasel. The weasel. This is the first time we pulled this card too, I do believe. And so when I see in the future with the weasel, okay, the weasel's sly. He's sneaky. Okay. He's contemplating on what kind of move that he wants to make. And this is your future card, right? So blow out the stink. The hummingbird, you're happy. Okay. Changing the whole world. Then I guess what I'm feeling, it just come to my head that your ego popped right back in again. Because you got a taste of, yes, true, Heidi. And Heidi says, oh, wow, shifts are happening. And they are. And you're just like, okay, I had the good stuff, and now I'm going to weasel my way out of this stuff, see if I can agree, try to go and grab some, some more stuff, being sneaky about the situation. But you know what, my man, we're going to pull another card and see where it takes us. And it's a blank card. It's a blank. Uh-oh. So it's like never holding back, okay? It's like you don't care. You just want to be sneaky, and you just want to be, see what you can get. Joe Fox says the weasel is often seen as a symbol of stealth, observation, and resourcefulness. It encourages individuals to trust their instincts, adapt to changing situations, and look beneath the surface for hidden truths. Okay, and Heidi says she feels it in every. But you know what Joe says, and it's true. You're looking for different situations. With me, what I see when I pull that card is that your ego just came out. And we're going to do one more card. Okay. I see where this is going. The next card is the hawk. The hawk is the messenger. The hawk is coming down to you while you're weaseling your way out of situations and you're getting in your ego back. The hawk's coming down is going to say, boom, smack you in the ass and say, listen, dude, you better relax and enjoy what you have around. You don't want to go back to being that skunk again. You don't want to get back to where the skunk is at. I mean, if I have to, I'll snatch that weasel up with my talons and we're going to go. You know what I mean? We're going to get that. So that's why the hawk is coming down, and it's just like, hey, listen, dude, you better relax. You got to go. Don't be so weaselly. That's a new word. I like that. Weaselly. And then the last card. Now, this is crazy. I never drew this card in my entire life. Okay. The alligator. The alligator. That's crazy. But the thought just come to me. What I see about the alligator. It is so accurate, Kevin. But the last card I pulled is the alligator. And when I look at the alligator, you're welcome, Heidi. When I look at the alligator, okay, it's sure ready to pounce on your ass if you don't listen to the hawk. If you still want to make an ass out of yourself and get that ego back, you want to do stupid things, that alligator's ready to snatch you up and take you back into the swamps or whatever. Heidi says, shine bright or get eaten alive. I like that. That's cool. Later Gator. Oh, really, Kara? That's cool. That's her nickname. So, if this reading was for you, get rid of that ego and quit weaseling your way to get out of things. Okay? Because the hawk or somebody's going to come down and stick their talons into you and say, hey, slow the hell down. Slow down. And relax. And if you still don't want to listen to that hawk, then the alligator's going to pound you. The alligator will pounce. This is crazy how this story just works out. It really does. Okay, I'm just going to pull one more card. It's for everybody. It's a happy card. Oh, wow. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and we'll just say, like, you get past the alligator. For some reason, I was told to pull another card, and I pulled the card. And check this out. It is the swan. That is the swan. Joe says, Happy Mother's Day to any moms that might be watching. I mean, the swan is graceful. See, I mean, if you listen to the hawk, the alligator won't get you. And then you turn into a beautiful swan where you just swim around and fly and you have beautiful feathers. You become a beautiful person. And you need to get that weasel out of you. You need to kick him out somehow. Okay? You need to kick him out. So for a fact that when all that shit has happened, thank you, Kevin. And after all that, you become a swan, a beautiful white swan. I like swans. They're evil, but I like swans. But they're evil. They'll attack you. The swan, as a spirit animal, symbolizes grace, transformation, and the development of intuitive abilities. It encourages you to embrace your inner beauty and instincts while navigating life changes. Isn't that crazy, guys, ladies and gentlemen? What a beautiful story. So don't have an ego, everybody. Don't do it. Don't have an ego. Especially if you had one before. Just because people picked on you and caused you a bunch of bad karma and made you feel bad, and then you finally open up like the butterfly, and the hummingbird. Butterfly, hummingbird. The hummingbird. Let's see, let me check it out. I think it's the hummingbird. Yep, the hummingbird. And then you fly around and you're eating all the sugar water. And you're darting, doom, 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 flying around. And you finally feel free of all the negativity that you had in your past. And then all of a sudden your ego got back in together with the weasel and you were trying to pull the same shit you were doing back then. And then all of a sudden somebody came and knocked you on your ass and said, you better watch it before you go back to being the asshole that you used to be. Excuse my language. And then I pulled the alligator, and the alligator, if you don't listen to the hawk, the alligator, during your stupid shit that you do, you're going to get eaten alive. But if you do listen to the hawk, and if you do listen to the weasel, you will become a beautiful swan. And you'll be able to get all these brand new, sweet, lovable, intuitive abilities. And the more beautiful. The Moral of the story, or the moral of the reading, don't be an ass. Just accept what has happened to you and move on and be happy. I want to thank everybody for participating in the chat tonight. I want to thank again UPRN Talk Radio 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans. Thank you, Kevin, for allowing me to give you the two shows again. Sunday nights, 8:10 to 10:10 p.m. Eastern, and Tuesday night. Don't forget. Okay, this Tuesday I'm going to have my friend Amy Cottrell, who's a belly dancer, and she's going to talk all about it. Oh, you're welcome, Heidi. You're welcome. Children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And if you have no parents, you have no children, find someone, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And most importantly, especially for today, go find your mother, give her a hug, and tell her that you love her. Because those three words, I love you, go a long way. And on that note, see you Tuesday night, and happy Mother's Day.